All right, so about a week ago, Bill Maher went on CNN to do an interview, and halfway through the interview, almost at the end of the interview actually, Jake Tapper, CNN's Jake Tapper, asked Bill Maher to define the word woke, and his brain kind of just like short-circuited, and he just spit out all this weird gobbledygook nonsense, complete rambling, pretty incoherent stuff. Let's take a look here.
And wokeness, like
How do you define wokeness? Because I hear people use the term all the time, and it means something different to everybody.
well, again, I think it's this collection.
Okay, so something that I need to just point out before we continue, and I'm not going to interrupt a bunch, but that wording on the question I feel like is problematic and poor at best. Jake said, Bill, how would you define woke? A lot of people define it differently. So what's your definition of woke? Woke is not a word that you apply your own subjective definition to and say, that's what I think it means. Woke has a definitive meaning. Woke is a word that has a definition. The word woke, I've said this a lot of times in my past couple videos, the word woke means aware to racial injustice and racial discrimination. That's what the word woke means. It means being aware of racial injustice. That's what the word is defined as. So you can't ask a question like, how would you define, this word is super subjective, super interchangeable definition. So what's your definition of it? I feel like it's such an open-ended question that there's not really a response you could give. And, Jake would be like, well, I don't know about that one. So it's a bad question to begin with. Terrible question.
Of ideas that are not building on liberalism, but very often undoing it. I mean, 5 years ago, Abraham Lincoln was not a controversial figure among liberals. We liked him. Now they take his name off schools and tear down his statues. Really? Lincoln isn't good enough for you? 5, 10 years ago.
So, important note, those things that he said about Abraham Lincoln are not true at all in any capacity. So, the statue thing I have here, there are no statues of Abraham Lincoln being pulled down or torn down or whatever you want to say. There is this one statue that was removed, and this is a picture of what the statue looked like, and I think that most of you would agree that this is a really strange looking statue. It's very weird. I don't know who designed it, but it's bad design. It's got Abe Lincoln here, like standing over like a black slave, and then it says emancipation at the bottom. To say it's problematic would, I think, be the understatement of, understatements, because this is just weird. This is a weird fucking statue. This got removed. It had nothing to do with, Black Lives Matter activists and protesters calling for the removal of the Civil War statues. This is just a weird statue. And I think most will agree that this is a weird statue. It's kind of strange. Next, the thing about removing Abraham Lincoln's names from schools is also not right. The only thing I found about this was in San Francisco, this area of San Francisco, these schools, they were going to rename all of the schools in the district. It's 44, I thought it was 41. 44 schools were going to be renamed in the district, and Abraham Lincoln's name is on one or multiple of them, I'm not sure. But they were going to do this, and then last minute, they actually reversed their decision. So they said, you know what, we're going to do this, we're going to take his name off, and then they were like, you know what, we're actually not going to do it. They ended up not doing it. So Abraham Lincoln's statue is being torn down, that's not true. And Abraham Lincoln's name being removed from schools, that's not true either. So, Bill Maher needs to do a better job vetting what he's going to say, especially when he goes on CNN to do an interview.
Bedrock liberalism was, we are striving to be a colorblind society where we don't see race. Of course, we see it, but it doesn't matter. That's not what woke is. Woke is something very different. It's identity politics. We see it all the time. It's always the most important thing. I don't think that's liberalism. I mean, I could mention so many issues like that. I remember doing that show on HBO.
So one thing that he points out is that wokeness is just identity politics, and I feel like most people on both sides are critical of identity politics. I am extremely critical. I try to be extremely critical of those on the left, especially that are trying to do identity politics, because that doesn't really get us anywhere. But the Republicans and the GOP routinely do identity politics far more than the left does, I would argue. Think about Nikki Haley saying that the reason she's running for president, or what she would disagree with President Trump on, she says, I'm a woman, I'm young, I'm white. I don't know if she said that she's white. I don't know if that was one of them. But it's the right that routinely does identity politics. That is a trait, not exclusively of the right, but much, much more becoming of the right than it is the left. Okay? So it is what it is. You can argue if you want, but we're gonna go off of what we really know and what actually happens, not fucking what's in someone's head, a fake scenario that they made up and said, well, it might be like this one day. We're not doing that.
Comic relief for the homeless. And the idea then, again, among liberals, I thought was, for the sake of compassion, can we get these people off the street so they have a roof over their heads? And now it's like, how dare you try to move the homeless? This is where they live. It's like, again, you change the definitions and then you say, I'm more conservative. I believe what I've always believed. You change these things and then you yell at me for it.
So the only thing that Bill Maher said there that was correct was that he's always believed what he's believed. That is true. I can't argue against that. Bill Maher has always been Bill Maher. And he's trying to make it seem like, again, it's the world that has a problem. It's not Bill Maher that's the problem. It's everybody else. It's the woke culture. It's everybody's changing the definition of everything. And again, remember that he got asked to define the word woke. That was a response to a question of define the word woke for me. That was his long, very long, elaborate, incoherent response to what the word woke means. I don't actually think he ever defined it in his rambling, but that's gonna be it for this video. And before I do my little outro that I always like to do, I just want to say that I don't think Bill Maher is the worst person in the world. There's obviously people that say way more dangerous shit, way more damaging rhetoric. A lot of the Daily Wire guys I make videos on, a lot of just the Republican politicians just straight up just do spew hate speech all fucking day. So I don't want anyone to think I'm just purposely attacking Bill Maher or anything like that and being like, oh fuck, Bill Maher's the worst. I saw the clip. I saw someone else covering the clip, and I wanted to cover it too and I also did think it was a little funny the way he responded. But if you liked the video, hit the like button. Helps me out so much. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe button and hit that little bell. Turn on all notifications so you guys don't miss an upload. Also, before I go, I have a TikTok that I post content on that I'm going to start posting regularly on. It is JonahTT, at JonahTT on TikTok. I also have an Instagram. I also have 2 other YouTube channels. You guys can go onto my channel page, click my name or my little profile picture here on YouTube, go to the About page, and go look at all my other social medias. Go follow me, go subscribe, go do what you want to do, go check them out. Y'all have a good one. Peace.